Welcome back to the channel, folks, and I'm joined once again by Mama B herself, UFC's newest signee, Shauna Bannon, as she gets set to take on Bruna Brasil in less than 5 weeks now, not too far away. Thanks so much, Shauna, for joining me again. Exciting times. You must never tire of getting used to that introduction. UFC's newest signee. It must be a crazy last couple of weeks for you, hey?
Yeah, 100%. It's been mad, but it's been a long time coming, I think. And yeah, no, it's super exciting. The next chapter in my career.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this has always been the goal. Ever since I first started talking to you, it was before your professional career started. This was the goal. You always said UFC, UFC, UFC. And I'm not surprised that the news has come. I'm not surprised. I knew it was going to happen myself. I'm not going to lie. I'm surprised at the timing of it, though. It kind of came out of the blue. You know, last time we were talking, it was in Holohan Martial Arts when I was back home there in March.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were talking about Invicta Ireland shows and Invicta titles. And next thing, here you are. You're signed to the UFC, which is great. But was it a surprise to you a little bit, the timing?
It was and it wasn't. I think like Invicta is amazing, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity that they gave me. The fights that I had there, and they're unreal. Even all the staff and everything, they're just a pleasure to deal with. They really are. But I think my time there, it was really the end. It was kind of maybe trying to get dragged out a little bit more than I personally think it should have. So yeah, look, the UFC wanted me. It was originally kind of talks about the contenders, and then they seen my fights and they said, no, we want to sign you straight away. So I'm hardly going to turn that down. That's the goal. That's the dream for anyone in MMA. Really, it's the highest platform of any organization in the world. So when the opportunity came up, there wasn't even a second thought about it, you know. I'll get the belt there. I did want the Invicta belt, but I think, I don't know, it was just a messy situation there. So yeah, look, at the UFC belt is the ultimate goal. That was one that I wanted to tick off along the way, but I don't think you can ever plan your journey. I learned that by, like, when I got pregnant. I knew that was a little curve in the road that I had to overcome, and I don't think you can say you want to do all these things, and whether it happens that way or not, it's the end goal is kind of the most important thing, and that's to become UFC world champion. That's the journey I'm on now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fantastic. And I mean, what was it a shock or surprise? How did you hear the news? Was it a phone call from Paddy? Was it someone from UFC? How did all that go down?
Yeah, so it was Mick Maynard that I was dealing with, Mick Maynard and Hunter. So yeah, they were kind of the people that I was dealing with along the way, and it was pretty straightforward, to be honest. It was more just there wasn't really any complication about it at all. It was very straightforward. We touched base. They said yeah, and then they said yeah about the contenders, and then they said actually no, we want to sign you. And then they were looking at getting me matched straight away, and they offered me an opponent, and I don't think the opponent could be any better for my debut. I think the matchup is pretty good. So yeah, it was all very, very smooth on the UFC side. So yeah, it was amazing.
Nice, nice. So, what's the mentality like now, Shauna? You know, obviously the goal has shifted. You've got past your first mini goal, and now you're saying you have eyes on the UFC title. When you're looking to build yourself into the UFC, what's kind of the perfect path for you to kind of build yourself into the UFC, become an established UFC fighter, and then work towards the goal of
Yeah,
winning the title?
like I'm well aware that I am 5-0, so I'm still at an early stage in my career. So nothing's going to be rushed. Like it's going to be fight by fight, step by step, building myself, building my platform, building my brand over the next few years. And like I'm sure I'll know myself when the time is right to call for that title. I'm well aware that it's not going to be today or tomorrow or next year. I still have a lot of time. I'm only 29, so I still have at least 6 or 7 years left in me. So yeah, like over the next few years, UFC title is the goal, and then defend it a few times. And yeah, that's it. I'm just going to enjoy the journey from now, because it is, although like 6 years will go like that, it is a long road in the moments and in the time and in the training sessions and everything that else comes with it. So I'm just enjoying the journey step by step, and I can't wait to have fight week in the UFC and see what that's like, and meeting all the new people that I'm going to be working with. And yeah, it's all so exciting.
Yeah, like coming in now, obviously, has your mindset kind of changed towards, you're going to be taking steps up in competition. And
Yeah.
that's the way the UFC are going to try and build you in. So does anything change you in regards to your preparation, your training, trying to acquire new skill sets along the way as well? Obviously, you want to try and level up each fight that you go in there. You probably talked about not getting to fight as often as you would like. Is the plan here to come in and get fights in quick succession and look to build up your record and build up your skill set and get bigger challenges as you move up the ranks?
Yeah, well, like each fight is obviously going to get tougher and tougher, and like the girls in the strawweight division in the UFC, like it's a tough division, you know. So I'm well aware that the fights are going to be more challenging, and there's going to be things that I'll have to overcome to win the fights. But I think I always set out to kind of work on something each camp for myself, and then there'll be something that I'm working on for the opponent. So I always want to progress in every aspect of the game, and that's something that I've done since the start. I always kind of focus on something for a few months and then move forward on to the next thing, and that's how I think I develop, because I don't think tipping your toe in somewhere and then coming back to it a few months later ever really works. That would be something that I've done since the kickboxing days. I'd be focused on something for a period of time and then get really good at that and then focus on the next thing. So I don't think you can be amazing at everything at once and develop in everything at once. It takes time for all of that to happen. So yeah, that's something that I've always done in any way. So that mentality has always been there. And I think like I fight better when I have a better opponent in front of me. Sometimes when the levels are lower, you kind of nearly come down to their level. So the better
Yeah.
the opponent, the better I perform. And that's been something that I've always kind of had in me since a young age. So I do prefer to have a challenge and overcome the adversity in the fights, because it's what makes you the better fighter then for the long run, do you know?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like they call it like fighting to the level of your opponent, and you can see, like you've seen it from time to time with fighters as well. But for you, like you said, you like to focus something on yourself, focus something on your opponent. I won't talk too much about what you're trying to focus on with Bruna, because we don't want to give away any secrets or anything. But what's something that you're focusing on yourself in this camp? What's the most important thing for you in your preparation for this fight?
I think to enjoy it, because I don't want to let, like, I think I've dealt with the past little while very well, but I don't want to let it overwhelm me, because it obviously is a huge stage, stepping up like from Cage Legacy to Invicta and now to the UFC. So the stage is obviously so much bigger now, and there's more eyes on me, there's a lot more pressure on me. The whole country is literally behind me, and like I haven't gone somewhere in the past 2 or 3 weeks where people aren't like, oh, there you are, you got signed to the UFC. So like there's a lot more eyes on me, and I'm well aware of that. So I'm just enjoying it and not letting the pressure get to me. And then just focusing on my training and ticking all the boxes every week by week, session by session, day by day, hour by hour, getting the recovery in, to prevent any injuries. And yeah, just enjoying the journey, because it's an exciting one.
It sure is, yeah. Look at coming in here. One thing that I always admired was your mental strength, and obviously your story inside the cage, outside the cage, becoming a mother and everything like that, and battling through all of that shows the mental toughness that you have. And we see, from your past experience kickboxing, you've been on the fight scene, so we see fighters come in with octagon jitters, or they let the occasion get to them maybe a little bit too much. I don't think that's going to happen with you. Would you be confident enough? I mean, it's going to be hard to kind of say if it will or it won't until you kind of get in there, I guess. But I would
Yeah.
imagine you're giving yourself every chance to kind of handle the situation accordingly, because it is a pretty big deal. How do you kind of balance the fact of it being a big deal and kind of maybe just putting on the blinkers and just concentrating and thinking of it as just another fight? Or is it just another fight for you?
Well, like it obviously is a huge step up, but I just look at it as fight by fight, and the opponent in front of me and getting the win, and focusing on me in there in the cage and doing what I need to do to get the win. Um, there obviously I get nerves anyway when I'm fighting. I think if I didn't, I wouldn't be human. You know, everyone,
Yeah.
like if someone says they're not nervous, they're lying. You're going into a cage to fight someone, and anything can happen. Everyone is nervous, but if I didn't have nerves, I don't think I'd perform as well, because it'd just be weird. So it's just managing the nerves. And I think because of the years of experience in tournaments that I have at all different levels, whether it be a local tournament or a world championships, I've done it at a lot of different levels, and my body has felt that before. I know that feeling getting into a cage, and the adrenaline, the nerves, the anxiety, the everything that goes through me. I've done it 1,000 times and more, So it doesn't get easier, but I know how to react to it, and I know how to manage it, and I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and another very important thing is the people that you have behind you, and one of the people that you will have behind you is Paddy Holohan, who has been there and has done that too. So, what kind of messages is he telling you? Because he's obviously experienced this as well. He had his run in the UFC, and it was a successful run at that. Is he kind of giving you and delivering you messages of what to expect, how to prepare, and just kind of setting you up for this big occasion and the next chapter in your career?
Yeah, 100%. He's guided me to this stage, and I've taken his advice the whole time, and it's done me well. So I trust him, and I trust his opinions. In like, he's been there, done that. He knows the good things, the bad things, the things that are indifferent, or the bumps in the road. And he just, every step of the way, he's just in my ear, reassuring me and everything. And like, even I think, like, the leaving Invicta and coming to here, and like, it wasn't an easy thing, because we did have a set out for the belt, and it's just he makes everything a lot smoother. And because I have trust in him, I don't even double think what he's saying, because I know that he's doing it for my best interest. It's not about anything else. He genuinely cares about me and my best interest, and what I do, and what I do for Jace as well,
100%. Like, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, because he's a father as well, and he's been a father since a young age. Like, he had Tiernan when he was only 19, so he understands the kind of struggles and the decisions that needs to be made when it's not just for you, it's for you and your child as well. So he understands that.
100%. With Paddy, he had an unfortunate end to his career. Obviously health reasons forced him to stop. So is it an incentive bonus for you to be able to bring him on your journey into the UFC and maybe break down those barriers, and that he never had the chance to do as a fighter? And, I think Chris Fields tweeted out he's the first fighter and coach to train and compete in the UFC. So it's great to be an Irish coach, I should say. It's great to be kind of a part of history and to create that journey with him as well, I guess, eh?
Yeah, no, 100%. That when Chris tweeted that, I was like, oh my God, that's mad. Like, it really is. And even like going back to when I went to Invicta, he coached Ash in Invicta, and it's like, then he was coming back doing it with me, and then now he walked that walk to fight, and now he's doing it coaching. So it's really good, and it's reassuring as well, because he knows what I'm feeling. So he knows every emotion and everything that I'm going through. If I'm like unsure, or he's been there and felt that. So it's the advice and stuff he's given me is relatable.
Yes, yeah. And look, you mentioned Jason and being a mom, and Paddy being a young father as well. With Jace, he's getting older now. Is he starting to kind of realize and recognize a little bit more what mom does on a day-to-day basis, going out there and fighting in a cage and going and working hard each day? How has it been? Like, obviously, being a mom, you're dealing with different challenges as your kids are getting older and older. How is all the situation there now? Obviously, it's difficult when you have to spend so much time away from him and dedicate your time to mixed martial arts. But how is he kind of dealing with it all at this stage?
Yeah, like he obviously understands, but I don't think he fully understands. He's starting to talk and stuff now. So like, some days it's like, are you going training or are you going to work? And I'm like, same, son. Like, some days he's like, don't go training. And then he's like, don't go to work. Stay here, mama. And I'm like, and then the odd time he does come with me, but we try and not bring him as much as possible, because I get nothing done when he's there. He just wants to be involved in everything, and he's like, dush, kick, and he tries to strangle me and everything. So yeah, he's still just a little bit young. He did join jiu-jitsu. He went once or twice, but I think he's just another few months before we fully get it, because I don't think he understands you're not allowed to do that in crash. You could do that in training, but you're not allowed to do that in crash. So there was a little phase there where it was a bit mad, but he's calmed down now with the hitting and stuff. I think he thought he was in training the whole time. Yeah, so there was a little few weeks where it was mad and crash every day. There was something else, and I was like, God,
Oh my goodness, yeah.
please, Jay, stop. Because it just looks like I'm shocked, but it's just natural in them, like his two parents are fighters. So
Yeah.
it's kind of bound to happen, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be a crazy phone call to say, yeah, sorry, Jace has got one of the young kids in an armbar or something like that. Imagine that. It's crazy.
You're like, no, see, he doesn't understand the difference of like
The
doing it in
difference, yeah.
training and then doing it. So yeah, another year or so, I think.
Yeah, you're fighting on UFC London. You'll be on the same card as Molly, who you've been doing, Molly McCann, who you've done lots of preparation and training with. How good is it to kind of, you guys have been getting ready for different kind of opponents and different cards. Now you're fighting on the same card. You're kind of can experience the build up together. Are you planning on getting over there and doing some work with her before the fight itself? Or are you going to kind of stay put in Dublin until closer to the fight?
Yeah, no, I was actually supposed to go last week. I was in the airport, went through security, and the flight was delayed 7 hours or something. And I was like, oh, I can't actually wait here for that length of time. So I went home because I would have missed that session that day and all. And then I was only going over for like a quick visit. I was only going over for that night session, the morning and the following night, and then gone back. So I was like, look, we'll reschedule for next week. But this week is a bit messy. So I think I'm going to head over next week then and get a bit of training in. No, I'm definitely going to get rounds in with her because I think we're similar in weight and we're both competitive, we both go for it. So the rounds that we get together are worth it when you get into the cage because it's nearly like a fight in itself because they set it up like you walk up the stairs, it's like you're walking to a fight and you go in and fight and you're getting coached. So it's actually really like a fight in it.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy getting them and they give me a lot of good prep for the fights.
Yeah, nice. For when you're looking at like going over there, and you've done that for quite some time. I look at somebody like Ian Gary, who has kind of spread himself around a lot of gyms now. Do you feel that that's important for the development of your career a little bit? Obviously, you look at Paddy is there, and he's always going to be there, and he's similar enough weight to you too. Great guy to have to kind of get you prepared, but getting new looks at new gyms, getting different spars, and kind of helping that and using that to develop your career and your skills as well. Is that important to you?
It is and it isn't. I think like gym hopping can like my team. I know have my back 100%, and I know my team and training partners are not going to injure me on purpose. They're not going to hurt me on purpose. There's not going to be any kind of competitiveness there where I'm against them in career point of view. So I think like jumping from gym to gym wouldn't be for me. Sparring people from other gyms, yeah, I agree with because I think you need fresh bodies in. You need to kind of have that. You don't know what they're going to do because sometimes when you're sparring the same people over and over again, they're doing the same things and the spars end up kind of similar. So I think getting fresh sparring partners in is really important. For training and your development and pad work and drilling, I think that should be your own team and the people that you trust and the people that have your back and are there for you. I think that's really important because this game, MMA isn't a big community. It's quite small, especially in Ireland. And I find sometimes people are out to get each other and people are, I don't know. I don't like the idea of hopping from gym to gym, me personally, and I've always been that way. Sparring with other people, big, yeah, but gym hopping and training in other people's technical classes, and I don't think so.
Yeah,
Like
no,
you
that's
just don't
fair.
know. You just don't. I just like you'd have to really trust someone to do that. I think personally, because you just don't know.
Yeah,
People are
and
mad.
isn't it a shame that it's kind of like that though in certain ways,
Yeah.
it's and look at I've seen it with lots of fighters who've made the step that you're just about to make to the UFC, and the negativity increases and the begrudginess increases a little bit. Whereas like, and I seen it, and when your signing was announced, there was a lot of naysayers and this and that, and like I thought it was ridiculous because we should be celebrating the fact that we have another Irish fighter in the UFC, and
I didn't see
putting
any of that.
yeah,
All I
well,
seen was positive.
oh yeah, well there was a couple of people like they were giving out about say someone like going to the Contender series when you got signed straight into the UFC, which I don't agree with. I was just wondering what you thought of all of that, and why do you think that the UFC have called on you, and what did they see in you, and how can they build you up into that? Because that's what I see. I think you're a very marketable person. You're very skilled, and you have a lot of support and following. I think all of those things are important to have a successful career. Obviously, getting in there and winning is the most important thing. But
Yeah.
just say, why would you say, I best to simplify the question, why do you think that the UFC did reach out and call you to join up with them at this stage of your career?
I think because I think my style is very different. I don't think a lot of people have the style that I have in striking. And then I've developed my full MMA game around that. And I've done it in a very short period of time. I'm only doing MMA 5 years. So if I can grow that much in 5 years, what can I do in another 5 years? And they can obviously see that. They can obviously see that I'm marketable and I have star quality, I suppose. Like I think there's a lot of growth in me still yet left to come, and they want to get that from an early stage. I don't think the UFC want to have people when they've 15 or more fights. I think that that's kind of a thing in the past, especially in the girls divisions.
Yeah.
There's obviously not as many girls as there is fellas, so the people that they're comparing me to are fellas as well. So it's different. Heavyweight men and girls, the divisions they're not as busy, so there's not as much competition there. Although there is competition, and there was obviously loads of amazing girls all over the world, but that aren't signed in the UFC, yeah. But like the competition just isn't as competitive, I don't think personally. And like for someone to say someone else needs to do the contenders and someone doesn't, like I'm not a boring fighter. I find myself as an exciting fighter, and I always look for the finish, and I always want to stay active, and I'm not holding and hugging people. And although I do grapple and do all that, but I'm active when I'm doing it. And I think I'm entertaining to watch, and it's the entertainment game. It's although it's MMA, it's entertainment as well. So you have to entertain the fans, because there's so many people that watch MMA and they don't even train it, so they wouldn't understand a trip takedown or having an underhook or an overhook. They just want to see action.
Yeah.
So like, and the UFC are smart. They know that. They know that, oh, the most technical, it's the most entertaining. Someone enjoying watching a fight is the most important thing, because they're a business and they need to sell pay-per-view, and that's what they're looking at the end of the day. So yeah, I think that's
yeah, no, it's a good answer, very good answer. And you'll have the chance to entertain against Bruna Brasil at 22nd of July. How do you see that fight go? How do you see that fight going down? How do you see her as an opponent? Look, you're obviously very confident. You said it's a good stylistic matchup for you.
Yeah, like come here. Her strike, she has nice knockouts. She's knocked people out. She has good striking. I'm not going to take that away from her, but I think that's the style of striking I've been dealing with my whole entire life since I'm starting to walk. So I don't think there's anything that she's going to throw my way that I haven't seen before. I'm able to deal with all that, and then I have more on top of that. So the hands are very low.
Yeah.
She doesn't like being hit. She doesn't like being put under pressure. And I'm aggressive and I put people under pressure. So yeah, I can see a finish maybe in the second round, and I'll be calling for me 50 grand.
Nice, good for you.
Screaming for her.
Obviously, I spoke to Dana White. I asked him about the UFC coming back. Look at all the talk the last time that we were talking about Invicta shows back in Ireland, and you wanting to fight in Dublin and everything like that. I mean, it'd be a dream come true if it was to happen next year, if the UFC were to come back to Ireland. Are you looking to kind of build towards that next year? How many fights are you looking to try and get in 2023? What's kind of the outlay for the rest of the year, and then maybe going into 2024?
I think I'll be up shortly after the London card.
Boston?
I think I'll be up shortly after.
Are you looking to try and fight in quick succession? Ideally, how many fights would you like to have towards the end of 2023?
Definitely 2. 3 would be nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then obviously ultimately going over to Ireland, competing on the UFC Ireland card. Has there been any talks? Have you been getting any messages maybe with any hints that it might be coming back over next year?
No, I haven't, to be honest. Like I think I'd actually like to fight in America a little bit more, to be honest.
Yeah,
personally. But obviously fighting in Dublin would be unreal, but it's not kind of a big push in my eyes right now. I think branching out over to America, like I'm known in Ireland, I'm like well established here, so I think I actually would prefer to branch out in America and kind of work a little bit more that way, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Coming into the UFC, obviously, we had the recent retirement of Amanda Nunes, and I seen you giving her some plaudits. Is that someone that you would have always looked up towards in the UFC, and looking to try and build your level of skills and your career and mold into kind of a similar? She's, in my opinion, one of the greatest fighters of all time and the greatest women's fighter of all time. I mean, a fantastic career. I was blessed to be there and see her retirement live in person. How has she had an effect on your career?
I don't think that girl gets enough credit for what she's actually done. It's like, I think because she constantly just won, it was like nearly that mentality people had where they just expected her to win and thought it was easy because she was doing it all the time. I don't think she kind of got the recognition she deserved, to be honest. Like, how many world titles did she have?
Oh, she won the Invicta World title. She won the bantamweight title twice. She won the featherweight title. But like, I think the argument in what you're saying is right. She beat anyone that you could
Everybody.
say, anyone that you could say maybe might rival her for that mantle. She's beaten, and she's beaten
Yeah.
relatively easy. Like Ronda and Cyborg, she beaten almost less than a minute, I think, the two of them. So, I mean, yeah, I would agree with you. And you know, it was a real pleasure to kind of witness her career, and then to see it kind of come to an end. Like last weekend, I thought, yeah, she wasn't getting the credit she deserved, and I think she is. And credit to you for giving her kudos. And you're in a situation right now where, you know, you might have been looking up towards maybe some of the women in your division where the term is, I guess, your idols are now going to become your rivals. How does that how does that make you feel?
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. But I kind of like, although I look up to people, it was the same even, let's say, when I was a kid in kickboxing, I'd look up to the seniors and then I was fighting them as a junior and beating them when they were seniors. So it is that kind of thing where they're like, wow, but then that's what you have to look up to someone, I suppose. And if someone's a champion in the division that you want to be in, you are going to look up to them. And like I think the strawweight division is one of the most entertaining. Like some of the girls in there are like unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tough division and there's so much going on and it changes all the time as well. Like it's never
Yeah.
someone that's like the amount of champions over the past few years, it's constantly changing. So that just shows how much the game is developing and how competitive it is. So it's a really exciting division and I'm looking forward to pushing my name into the top 15, top 10 and then going for the belt.
There we go. And I'm looking forward to kind of watching it. It's been a fantastic journey so far. And you're here, you're at the big show now, and it's going to be a very, very exciting chapter of your career. 22nd of July. How many people are heading over? How many of the crew? I'd say you must be
Loads.
bombarded with ticket requests. I'd say the support.
Loads. I know, and because my fight was announced after, like I had nothing to do with the tickets, so they just have to get them on Ticketmaster. But the amount of people that are going over, like people that I wouldn't have even thought, like the support is unreal. Like it's so nice to have so many people behind me and supporting me, and um even going over to it, like because the tickets aren't cheap either, or
No.
like you know, like they're expensive. So I'm so grateful for everyone that's going over to support me. It's going to be a good night.
It is going to be a good night. Like I said, July 22nd, UFC London. Shauna Bannon making her UFC debut against Bruna Brasil. I'm really excited, Shauna. I wish you all the best. And we'll be talking again down the line, I hope. I know you're a hot commodity right now, UFC fighter. Everybody is going to want to be interviewing you and chatting to you, but I do always appreciate the time that you give to me. It's greatly appreciated, and I wish you all the best on July 22nd.
Thanks so much, Jane. Appreciate it as always.